Hi everyone, welcome to the press conference. We'll just kick off with broadcast with Stuart, please. Thank you.
Stuart, how are you feeling after that victory and the manner in which you guys delivered it?
Chuffed to bits. We worked incredibly hard for large parts of that game to get the good outcomes. We got ourselves into good positions and had a clinical edge at times, and then we had to absorb a lot of pressure through England. And credit to them for that. They were outstanding at times, but we stuck to our systems. We stuck to what works best for us, and thankfully we've came out with a perfect scoreline for us.
You can't have planned to have to absorb as much pressure as you did. What did it say about the defence and the fact that you were able to keep going for so long with the amount of ball that they had?
I think the biggest work on that we've had is we've been able to absorb pressure for a long time, but it's now flipping it on its head and applying pressure at the same time. And I think we've done exactly that. I don't think they got through multi-phase very often, and we managed to stand firm. I don't think there was very many defensive penalties against us, so that's something that we'll be chuffed to bits from. But again, it's a challenge now to back it up next week.
What's just about the big moment in the second half, then the two cross-field kicks? Was it something that was planned? Is it something that you had identified that you could get at England that way?
I think it was just kind of playing heads up rugby. Our set piece starter didn't quite go to plan, and we just managed to adapt on the move and get on with it. And it was two absolutely perfect kicks from Finn, and it led to a line bend on one end and then a penalty try on the other wing. So that was spot on for us. So it's something that Finn likes to try and do with the wingers, make sure that we're flat and in position, keep everybody guessing, and execute it to perfection.
You seem to be very adept at slowing down their ball throughout. I mean, when their forwards are on the front foot, they didn't really get the amount of points that their possession merited. Can you talk us through your thoughts on the back row?
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. I think for us, we like to spend as much time in the tackle as we possibly can. I think as a forward pack on the whole, they're absolutely outstanding. Didn't let England, gather much momentum. Got in positions to win jackal turnovers, and that's exactly what we're about. I think for us now is the challenge of seeing what Wales are going to come up against us, and hopefully we can do the exact same.
Stuart, could you please talk a little bit about the first try scored by Ben White? That you mentioned that the second try, the start of play didn't go to plan. First try, it seemed like the start of play really did go to plan.
Maybe, I don't know. We just played a lot of heads up rugby. Darcy hit a lovely line off me. I managed to get through. Great feat against Marchant, and then the offload, and Benny picked up an outstanding support line to dive over for his first, which was absolute quality. I think we planned to get ourselves into good positions, and thankfully we managed to execute it.
Stuart, what was the message behind the posts when Marcus Smith kicked England 17-10 ahead?
Just to stay in the moment. I think for us, we were in a position that we, for the first time, we backed up error on error, which was a bit frustrating. Gave them easy field position, easy avenues into the game. And fair play to them that they managed to work up a score. But for us, that was all stuff that we can control, and that was just a message to stay in every moment and make sure that we maximise everything that we do. And I thought and felt we regrouped really well.
Stuart, can you just take a second to talk about Darcy's performance today?
Quality. He's a little pocket rocket. Seems to get everywhere. He's a brave little bugger, and I think to go in for that last turnover and get it was absolutely outstanding. And again, just kind of that tackle and turnover, managed to thank the forwards for digging in for four minutes or whatever it was in the scrums. So absolutely outstanding performance from the little fella, and hopefully next week he'll back it up.
That's us, guys. Thanks for your time. Cheers. Gregor will be next. Lovely.
I'm dry, but I'm now sticky. That's cute.
That was you.
I'm sticky as well. Yeah. You can get a shower.
Got more water?
No, fine, thanks. Tenants would be nice.
If we can just start off with the broadcasters, please, if we can try and keep it into two sections. So, Jamie, if you want to kick us off.
Gregor, take us inside the coach's box for that last, what seemed like forever, with all those reset scrums. How were you feeling? What was the emotion like when it came loose and Stuart was able to kick it dead for the win?
Yeah, I think the heart rates of all of us were the highest they'd been throughout the whole game. There was an element of what would happen when the ball comes out of the scrum, or would the referee penalise one team or another. I think one of the scrums we thought we were going to get the penalty, and then on another scrum we thought England might get the penalty. But I'm glad in a way that it wasn't decided by a scrum decision, and we had to defend, and fortunately got the ball back and a turnover. It was always going to be difficult for a team with that weather to try and to get a try or force a penalty. But I'm just really proud of the efforts first at the scrum and then obviously in the phase defence.
Would it be fair to say that it wasn't a perfect performance, and if you do agree with that, what does that say about the fact that they managed to eke out a victory in those circumstances?
Yeah, it was far from perfect, and I think the weather's got something to play, and that when it's so wet. But we knew we were going to be playing into the wind in the first half, and we had to absorb a lot of phase defence or phase attack from England. We had to be we were in our half for the majority of that time, and we weren't able to really build phase upon phase through our errors at times. I think 3 line-out plays where didn't win the ball straight away, or we lost the ball on first phase. But it's great to see a play executed really well through the team, but especially Darcy and Ben White with his support line. So yeah, we felt we hadn't fired a huge amount of shots in the first half, but we were still leading, and we knew second half with a slight advantage of the wind. But having said that, our probably third quarter was the poorest part of our game for us, and we were all thankful and obviously proud of how we played in that final quarter, which was telling.
It's a good run that you're on in this fixture over the last few years. Was it just as sweet as it was when you're ending winning runs for England, winning at Twickenham for the first time in 38 years? Does this feel just as good?
Oh, 100%. I think in 2018 it was such a good game and such a positive atmosphere, and obviously it'd been a long while since we'd won, and some of the tries we scored during the game were amazing to watch. But today obviously felt like one of huge effort, could have gone either way. I felt England played really well today. They're a strong side, as we know. So to actually come out at the end of a real tight tussle makes up for the arm wrestle we had with them 2 years ago, and just to hear and feel that atmosphere was amazing. We've missed crowds at this fixture last year, so to have them back and in full voice was special. Thank you.
Can we move on to written now, please?
Oh, sorry, can I just one more for broadcast, if you don't mind?
Yeah, no worries.
Gregor, just to sort of follow on to that answer, as you said, this team keeps making history. I think it's the first time Scotland have retained the Calcutta Cup since you were 10 years of age. Do you remember that one? And just what does it mean to you? Are the players aware of how seismic history this is today?
Yeah, well, we retained it 2 years ago, so I think it's the first time we won back-to-backs.
Back-to-back, yeah.
Yeah, and look, this team have done really well in this fixture. I think we've had the trophy 4 times out of the last 5, so it's a game that we not just get up for, but we know we deliver close to our best rugby. Now today wasn't close to our best rugby, but I think the standards we've set are much higher than they were a few years ago. So yeah, it's great. I think it's obviously very good for our team, but our team are on a 5-game journey here for this championship, and we know it's just the first game. For our people, it means the world to them. I remember in 2000 when we'd lost every game in the championship, winning the last one against England made the season, or made people's years, rather than if we'd won 3 or 4 games that season. So we know how much this means to our supporters and the whole nation. So it's great that we can start with a win for them, but we've got 4 more games now. If we want to deliver something special, we've got to play really well next week.
And moving on to written now, please.
Gregor, can I ask you to talk a little bit about the Ben White try and the thinking behind that set play?
Yeah, Hoggy obviously didn't want to answer that, did he? He didn't give away any secrets. It was a play that, look, we wanted to play fast there, so we got the line out in position, and sometimes when you play fast, you're not that organised, but as long as you're more organised than the defence, and when you go back to a short side, you're trying to overload some of your best players against maybe the front five. But it's down to narrow margins. Like, I thought at the time Stuart's going to be caught man and ball, but he managed just to get the ball away to Darcy, who'd hit a great line. And that is the fine margins of international rugby. That ball doesn't go to hand. England are kicking the ball up the field. It does go to hand. It's a line break. And after that, it's just individual magic, individual ability. Like Darcy ends up beating someone one-on-one and then looking for an inside support. And there's a brilliant support line from Ben White. So yeah, really pleasing that we scored of a set-piece play, because 2 or 3 we weren't able to build not just line breaks but real phase pressure in that first half. So I think it just...
Gregor, beating England's become a bit of a habit now. Winning back-to-back games, big games, isn't as much of a habit. What's the plan? What have you got to do this week to make sure that we don't have a similar situation to last year when Wales kind of brought things back down to earth?
Yeah, look, every game's different. So last year I felt we started the game really well. So it showed the confidence that the players had from their win at Twickenham. The first, I think we were 17-3 up. So in terms of how we prepared last year, it was fine. In terms of how the players started the game, it was just how we dealt with a couple of situations. The first one, not scoring a try in the Wales 22 in the end of the first half, and then giving away 3 penalties in a row, and then handing the momentum back to Wales. But then in the second half, not dealing with the red card and how we needed to adjust. I'm sure it's going to be a different story next week, and there'll be things we have to adapt and adjust to. But I feel this team is much better at adapting. Hoggy mentioned about the penalty try. That was something that hadn't really gone the way we wanted to go. A scrum play, and Finn adapted to where the space was, and we adapted around him and to Duan's break. So confidence is important. The belief, the ability to adapt, show character is important. But we know we have to deliver the detail as well. We can be better than this week. And obviously we believe Wales will be better than they showed today too.
Last couple of questions, please.
Gregor, how's Jamie Ritchie? We saw him in crutches in the end there.
Yeah, look, it's not looking great for Jamie just now when you're on crutches and you're struggling to walk. So the hamstring groin area, from what I could tell, the motion that when he was attempting to compete for a ball, he just obviously did a little bit of the splits. So yeah, he's in a bit of pain. So I wouldn't expect him to be available next week.
Is there any other injury news?
No, I think we're all good. There's a few tired bodies at the end, and the intensity of Six Nations came back today. So there'll be a real recovery process now. But from what I hear, I think everybody else is okay.
Gregor, can I ask about Finn's kicking, especially in the last quarter? He's not really renowned as a kicking fly half at all. He seems to have matured into one. Are you impressed with that element of his game, especially today in the final few minutes? Yeah,
look, I thought he had an outstanding game today. He had a couple of really good kicks in the first half, just into that bottom right corner. His attacking kicks for Duan and then Darcy were obviously very accurate, and his goal kicking was really good. He's been practicing that over the last few weeks at his club, even though he's not been kicking that often with Racing. But I felt he managed the game too. There was a lot of pressure on him in terms of the line speed from the opposition, trying to rush his passes, but he was mainly picking the right player to pass to. And I felt that last 10-15 minutes were our best attack, best attacking sequences, and Finn was at the heart of that. And that's saying something when you see the weather conditions as it got worse during the game. So yeah, that was one of his best performances for Scotland. Really pleasing.
Last question, please.
Gregor, Finn, Hoggy was talking earlier on about being on a journey. You've evolved from a side which scored loads of tries to one that's become adept at stopping other sides playing. How much satisfaction do you take from that evolution?
Yeah, I think being tough to beat is really important. Usually defines championship winning teams, a strong defence in any sport, and we have set really good standards over the last couple of seasons, especially in that area. I think our players enjoy defending now, but defence is all about getting the ball back. So getting it back in terms of turnovers, or getting it back in terms of penalties or kicks. So we know our defence is really entwined with our attack. And we've got some really dangerous attackers in the team. We want to give them the ball. We want to give them a framework that they can play and they're encouraged to play. And we saw that today. So yeah, getting both of them right is the goal. But defence certainly helps you be in those tight games.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Cheers, Gregor.